Everyone knows how the journey of the Titanic ended. But today, we're not going to talk about the tragedy. We're going to talk about the dream that became reality. The Titanic wasn't just a ship. It was the largest engineering project of its time, born from ambition, money, and early 20th century technology. It became a symbol of progress, an era when people believed they could conquer nature, the ocean, and even fate itself. In the early 1900s, transatlantic travel wasn't just about logistics. It was a race between empires. British, French, and German companies competed for supremacy. Some prioritized speed, like Cunard Line. Others prioritized comfort. White Star Line chose comfort. Under the leadership of Joseph Bruce Ismay, they made a different decision. We won't try to outrun everyone. Instead, we'll build a liner that becomes legendary for its luxury. Thus emerged the idea to build three sister ships: Olympic, Titanic, and Gigantic, later renamed Britannic. Each was meant to become a masterpiece of shipbuilding, not only transporting people, but also impressing the world. This was a time when ships embodied national strength, and the Titanic was destined to be the crowning achievement of that race.
The project was made possible by John Pierpont Morgan, an influential American banker. Through his company, International Mercantile Marine, he took control of White Star Line. To make the idea real, the shipyard, Harland and Wolff in Belfast, was tasked with bringing it to life. The chief designer was Lord William Pier, and the technical director was Thomas Andrews, known for his obsession with quality and safety. Andrews wasn't just an engineer. He believed the ship had to be not only strong, but comfortable for people. He walked the job site, spoke with workers, made small changes that later proved crucial. Many decisions were made not only with calculations, but with heart. For example, placement of restrooms, play areas for children, accommodations for persons with disabilities. Yes, the Titanic even considered those. It was a liner that thought about the future.
Construction began in March 1909. To handle the scale of the project, the yard built two enormous slipways, one for the Olympic, one for the Titanic. They worked in two shifts, day and night. Over 15,000 workers labored on the ship. Many of them risked their lives. More than 3 million rivets were used, most installed by hand. Metal was riveted in tough conditions, winter and summer alike. Cutting-edge technologies were used on the site, including one of the largest cranes in the world, Goliath, which could lift sections weighing up to 75 tons. The workers earned meager pay and labored under hazardous conditions. A few were killed, even during assembly, though such incidents were rarely officially recorded. It was an era when results came first and safety second. The hull assembly, tubing installation, boiler fitting, mechanism installation, each stage was like launching a separate project. Inside the ship stretched miles of wiring, plumbing, and steam piping, all manually installed without modern tools. The ship's structure included a double bottom, 16 watertight compartments divided by bulkheads. This system was fresh and revolutionary. On paper, the ship could stay afloat even if 4 compartments flooded. Yet even then, some experts voiced doubts. They pointed out that the bulkheads didn't extend all the way to the deck. Water could overflow from one compartment to another. But belief in unsinkability overshadowed common sense.
The Titanic was 269 meters long. It was nearly 29 meters wide. It stood 53 meters from keel to the top of the funnel. It weighed over 52,000 tons. At that time, it was the largest ship in the world. On board, 29 boilers, 159 furnaces, 3 giant propellers.
coal consumption more than 600 tons per day. Hundreds of firemen and engineers labored daily in the engine rooms through heat and soot to keep the ship moving. Of the 4 funnels, only 3 were functional. The 4th was decorative, added purely for visual effect. Yet that design choice made the Titanic's silhouette instantly recognizable worldwide. The ship had its own power plant, elevators, telephone network, water supply, and heating systems. Even its ventilation and lighting were unique. Electricity ran to every cabin. Air circulated thanks to a complex ventilation system, rare for that era. On board were cooling chambers for food, a post office, laundry rooms, a photo lab, and even a small printing press. All of this made the liner self-contained. It could operate like an entire city on the ocean.
First-class cabins resembled apartments in Europe's best hotels, halls in the styles of Louis XVI, Regency, and even Renaissance. Chandeliers, handmade carpets, carved wood panels, custom-made furniture. On board were a seawater swimming pool, a gym with exercise machines and rowing machines, Turkish baths, smoking and reading lounges, a Paris-style cafe, staircases with wrought iron railings and stained glass, music salons and grand pianos. Dining was at the level of the finest restaurants, meals of 10 to 12 courses, exquisite drinks, cigars. Special menus and dining schedules were developed for passengers. Hundreds of waiters, chefs, and attendants provided service. Second and third class passengers felt comfort too, especially relative to other ships of the time. In third class, there were separate cabins, clean bedding, 3 meals a day, a rarity for emigrants then. On board, there were separate spaces for deck promenades, religious services, even a small library. Children had games and activities. All this created a sense of home, even in the middle of the ocean. The crew underwent strict selection. Officers were expected not only to steer the ship, but to possess manners. White Star Line strove for their liner to be a model of both technical and cultural excellence.
On May 31, 1911, the ship was ceremonially launched. More than 100,000 people gathered to watch. The launch went off without incident and took a little over a minute. After that began months of finishing work. Interiors, safety systems, engine trials, everything was on schedule. In March 1912, the sea trials were conducted, and the ship was deemed ready for its maiden voyage. Before departure, the crew trained for navigation, rescue gear, and communication systems. On board was everything: telegraph connection to shore, a dedicated message room. The ship was equipped with lifeboats, but as history shows, they were insufficient. On departure day at Southampton, the atmosphere was festive. People waved handkerchiefs, an orchestra played, passengers climbed aboard with luggage, children, hopes for a better life. For many, it was the road to a new future, especially for immigrants heading to America. Few realized that in this voyage, they would become part of history, not because of the destination, but because of its end.
Today, the Titanic is associated with tragedy. But before the wreck was a grand dream. A dream to build, not just a ship, but something the world had never seen before. And though its journey was short, it left a mark that hasn't faded after more than 100 years. This is a story not only about death, but about courage, genius, and the will to do the impossible. About how people in the early 20th century thought, created, built, and believed. And every time we remember the Titanic, we remember an era when humans first decided they could tame the ocean. An era when engineering became art, when luxury embraced progress, when a dream became reality, even if only briefly.